All right. Hey, everybody. Here we are, another episode of Newrez Voices. I'm super excited today to have JC, Jennifer Corcoran, who leads the operations across Newrez. Welcome to the show, Jennifer, JC.
Thanks, Dave. I'm happy to be here. I'm the SVP of National Operations here at Newrez. I've been here 12 years and I handle the fulfillment, so the processing, underwriting, and closing, and some national support for all of our channels here outside of correspondent.
All right. So, look, what we're doing with Newrez Voices, we're talking to people across Newrez, partners, leaders, top performers to learn more about what you do, how you're impacting the delivery for Newrez, but also just to learn about your career and how you got to be where you are and the lessons along the way. So, starting there, just tell us a little bit about JC for the folks who don't know you, what your career path has looked like and how you ended up in the seat that you are today.
I still don't know what I want to be when I grew up, Dave. So I enjoy when people walk into my office. They kind of double take at my diploma because it says biological sciences, which is not very normal. And so, as with everyone, I just kind of fell into mortgages. I started as a temp shipping at the end of the process, back when there was paper. And I started off in ops, I was a closer. So a lot of fees, and then have worked my way up. I've been in the management probably for 20 plus years now. Strong on the wholesale side to start my career, strong in underwriting, but have learned all the roles and really enjoy managing the start to finish, underwriting, processing, and closing.
Yeah. And that diversity of kind of being in all the different roles, you hear that as a common theme, I think, to appreciate the connectivity of the business and how people, how it all matters. Every single bit of it is so important to the process.
Well, and I've even worked in sales. So I was an account
That's right.
exec in wholesale for 2 years, and I think that helps me understand the challenges on both sides of the fence.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's right. I know that's right from working with you that you're very good at kind of understanding all sides of what's going on and try to mediate where it's heading. So, with that said, I mean, one of the many things that I love about you, JC, is you do care fiercely, which is part of our brand at Newrez, and whether that's 9 o'clock at night on a Friday night to get something done, you're always available, and that's such a special thing, and we see that across our teams. So, how do you do that with hundreds, thousands of team members? How do you, as a leader, instill that ethic of care fiercely throughout?
They have to see it from the top, Dave. If I'm not willing, why would they be willing to care fiercely? And I always reiterate that you have to care about our customer first and foremost. That's who we're trying to please. That's who we want to return to Newrez for additional business. But our originators are also our customer. Processing is underwriting's customer, and vice versa down through closing. But I have to lead from the top. I jump in as required, as you mentioned. I want the teams that I manage and my sales partners know that I'm willing to do what I ask of them. I try to engage in all levels. I ask my team members for their opinions and suggestions. If I know that my frontline closer is the best person for USDA fees, I have no problem asking the person that knows the most. My ego doesn't get in the way of learning more from those that know it better than I. And they're the ones that know the pain points and the successes. So I have to show them that I care fiercely in order for them to believe that that is something that they should do at their job as well.
Right. Right. And you talked about the fact that it's not just the end customers getting a loan, although they are the North Star for all of us. But team members, partners, we're all kind of each other's customer. And I love that because it is true that it's the next person in line or the person right behind you. You've got to have that understanding of what's important to them to be a good partner and to make a great experience. And again, you do seem to have such a good perspective on that to be able to jump in and add value in any conversation. And it's complex at times. There's a lot going on in the process. So, how do you do that? Is there some way that you kind of stay connected in all these ways or keep learning in a way that others could get something from?
You know, I just like I said, I you have to know what your team does every day. they're not going to respect you if they think you're sitting, in a big office somewhere and are above what they do every day. So I feel I have to have, can I go close a loan today? It might take me 8 hours to get it right, but I know the broad strokes of it. I know, what partners are engaged. I know what systems are needed. But I need to communicate that I do know it. And when I don't know it, like I said, I need to be willing to ask the question. I provide more value the more I know. And the other thing people need to really know is even if you don't know it all, know who to ask. And that's important to know who your resources are and be willing to ask the question.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, look, you and I were together this past week, and we sat with some of our partners on the wholesale side. We sat with some of the superstars on the retail side, and one of the things that always comes through to me, and that makes me happy, is that to hear people talk about our people, and they say all the great things about Newrez, and it always comes back to, and the real reason or the biggest reason that I worked with Newrez is because of your closing team, or because of my processor, or because of my account executive. I feel like a lot of people will say, a lot of competitors will talk about our operations is the best. And they probably believe it. But what do you think when you look at our team, and specifically on the operations side, why are we the best? What differentiates our team and what we do?
I think going back to some earlier answers, we care fiercely. We strive to be a team. We value feedback from all areas. And we want to correct those things that maybe didn't work out on the previous loan. And we want to make sure it's better. We want to make sure we've learned from any opportunities we might have had in the past. Operations, which is, processing, closing, underwriting, knows that if they succeed, sales will bring in more volume, more business. And sales knows that their loans won't close timely if they don't have a good ops team. And so if we don't work together in tandem, it all falls apart. And so communication and working as a team, I think what makes us different. And day in and day out, we're always asking that question, where's our opportunity? What can we do better?
Right. And I think that, the communication and relationships, they're so important to close collaboration and a tight process. And you and I, we've talked about the fact that our years go back in the industry, and starting with paper and all those kind of things. And one of the things we also used to have when we used to work with paper was we'd be in the same office. And we could see each other, and we could go out for a drink after work on Friday, and all those kind of things. And now, I mean, even when I think about like 5 years ago, it seemed so important to be in the office. And now it's a lot of remote work, remote with our team, remote with our partners. What are some of the things that you're seeing that help to create, close relationships and tight collaboration, even in a virtual world?
I encourage my team all the time, at least internally, as we are today, Dave, be on camera. No one cares if you look nice. Even when you're in the office, you have good or bad days, be on camera. You understand their facial expressions, you get the tone better if you can see them. And so it also keeps people more engaged if they know that the person on the other side of the conversation can see them. It lessens the multitasking, of which I'm probably the biggest culprit. But be on camera, pick up the phone. Again, we tend to get stuck in the typing, and talk to whomever you're working through your problem, your loan with. It will always make things better. And then we do have virtual meetings, our virtual happy hours. You have to have as much fun things as you do work things. And so what can you do to help get to know your other team members through virtual time that is not business related? And, fun things, even in email, asking about, what was your first car? What was your first concert? What are things you can do to get to know your teammates?
Right, right. What was your first concert?
I have no idea. It was like Foreigner, I think,
Nice.
at Six Flags over Mid America.
Very good. All right. Well, that's a good one to have. Um, all right. So we've talked about the fact that you're leading multiple channels, multiple functions within operations. how do you organize your day? I mean, I'm sure that a lot of it is just coming at you, including myself, all day with random stuff. But I'm sure you have some kind of a system to keep it all organized or prioritized. So, any secrets you can share with us on that?
One of the reasons I feel that I don't get too spun up is because I come in every day knowing that I plan to finish these 4 things, and if I get through 2 of them, it's gonna be great because it comes fast, it comes furious, and what you plan never is what really is accomplished that day. So 1, my expectation is I know it's gonna come fast and furious every day when I sit down, so I'm not thrown off when it actually does. Some days I have to accept that all the balls that are in the air, they may crash, Dave, and so I'm okay with that. But triage, what's coming inbound? What are the things that are quick, easy responses that I can get off my plate quickly? So you'll see that some things I respond to in seconds, whereas some things take quite some time. And so, what are the easy, quick responses? Those are generally transactional in nature. And then, what needs some dedicated time? And when am I going to accomplish that more strategic thought? Use the phone. Verbal communication generally will finish things up faster than typing. So, a quick ping, are you available? Let's talk through this real quick. And I think that helps too, because in today's world, people are way stuck behind their keyboard, as I've already mentioned. And verbal is the fastest path to complete a task. And those are some of the things I try to do. Another trick is I've turned off my notifications that pop up in the corner, because I am definitely someone who is squirrel and then I would be sidetracked. So I try to stick to the task at hand. Hopefully it's, a 2-minute task, you move on and then set aside some time to get the bigger items done.
Right. I would imagine that you get few emails every day. Uh,
Full of
do you subscribe to the zero inbox philosophy? How do you manage all of it and like you say, figure out what's urgent, what can be held till later or not responded to at all?
So I held to the zero inbox before I got away from my desk for a long time, Dave, but it is no longer an achievable goal. But I do make sure that I have read through them all. So before I get up at night, I will definitely click on the unread and just make sure that there's nothing left in that box that needed attention that day. My directs certainly know that if they have something that needs immediate attention, they should pick up the phone and call me or send me an IM so that I, at least go recognize that email. So it's not a zero inbox any longer, but it is definitely a what's still outstanding. So at least I'm aware. It might not be finished, but at least I'm not leaving anything that is urgent undone.
I have a similar approach. If everything gets read, and I try to respond to everything, even if it's just to let people know that I'm not going to be able to take care of this. Here's somebody who might be able to help you. So, and I just feel like that's important, obviously, with everything going on, and people can get overwhelmed with email. But letting people know that you read it or have read it and building that confidence is so important from a leader. All right. So I mentioned earlier that you and I were together last week with partners and with some of our top performers in other channels. So partnership is a huge part of our business, and whether they're internal partners or external, it's all equally critical to our success. And so ops and sales is obviously one of the core ways that you and I have worked together over time. And I always tell people I find you to be one of the best business partners that I've ever worked with. So what is it like to you that makes a great partnership? And maybe as part of that, if people see that partnerships aren't as great as they would like to be, what would you recommend to make them better? What can we do as leaders to improve partnerships?
Mutual respect is where it needs to start, Dave. It starts the rules of kindergarten, treating others how you would like to be treated. Don't yell at people, listen, clean up your own mess, and teach for the next time. It really is those simple things you learned, hopefully, as a young person, and applying them day to day. If you feel that a partnership has gotten a little sideways, it helps everyone to pause, recognize that maybe it's gotten sideways and have a conversation. Hey, I was trying to help you with this. I don't think I accomplished it. How could I do better next time? Ask the question, how can I be a better partner? Feedback, I've been told, is a gift. And so, it's good. And the key is don't get defensive. People are giving you back what they did or didn't like. It doesn't mean they're right or wrong, but it gives you their perspective. And then you need to react to that and understand that for next time. But mutual respect and listening are the keys, I think, to a great partnership.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more about the defensiveness. I just have found in my life that nothing ever good comes of being defensive, because people are going to think what they're going to think, and it's their perception. The best we can do is listen to it, acknowledge it, and then either clarify what our intent was or to change our behavior so that we can be better partners. But I think it's rare to change people. We have to kind of adapt and learn how to work together. So
And everyone has a different personality, and you have to understand too that how I might interact with you, Dave, is not how I need to interact with this person over here because your personality is different. And I'm going to achieve my goals with you differently, perchance, than I am with somebody else. And the faster you recognize that and understand the tone that you need with that partnership, the better that partnership is going to be.
that's right. So look, that's all about humans getting along, which, we do. But more and more, it's tech is creeping into everything we do, whether it's, automated underwriting or artificial intelligence, looking at notes and things like that. And there's all kinds of predictions about where technology is taking us and what the role of people will be in that. You've been part of that all the way through from paper to where we are today. What's your general take on kind of where tech adds value today and where people add value, and where do you see it in 5 years even?
Tech innovation comes fast. We need to embrace it. It's not going to take your job. Many things are tried, some stick, some become table stakes. They're so common, and some get passed over quickly for even better tech. For instance, DU and LPA, automated underwriting systems, came in probably 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and underwriters thought, "Oh, I don't want to participate with this. It's going to take my job." And that has not come to fruition. It is a resource, it is a tool we all use today in order to make better underwriting decisions. And so that's how our next tech is going to be. It's going to continue to enhance and be a resource for your job. AI will definitely play into everyone's lives, both personally and professionally. For mortgages, AI is going to streamline tasks. It'll be used with other technology and automations so that maybe a task that took an hour takes 10 minutes, 2 seconds. It might be a click of a button. And so it just will allow us to do more faster. And it needs to be embraced because it will be something that makes everyone's job easier in the long run.
Yeah, and I think that's the key is that people are going to embrace it, or the people who do embrace it will find the ways that it helps them create deeper relationships and better decisions and things like that. And the people who resist it are probably going to get left behind because you can't stop technology and kind of the way this business has changed. And for as much as the business has changed in the last 30 years, the core parts of it are still pretty much the same of people interacting with each other, people having to solve complex problems, people trusting each other so that they're going to choose their loan consultant based on who they like and trust. I mean, all those kind of things are still exactly the same as they were the first day I came in this business. So,
Yes, we still have a processor, an underwriter, and a closer on my side of house. All of those roles existed 30 years ago. They exist today. What they do every day is slightly different. They used to fill out a written verification of employment and then they would send that out. And now they click, 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 and they get that information back digitally. Um, and so, things continue to change quickly, but the core is still there.
yeah. I do still think that I had built a really good skill set with that paper that had the holes on the side that you had to feed in to perfectly line things up. So I'm sorry that that went away, but nonetheless.
It was good background noise too, that tractor printer. Zip, zip.
Yes. Uh, all right. Speaking of other things that never change, very early on in my career, one of my leaders had told me, the best way to get your loan to close with the least amount of friction is to take a great application. Ask the questions, ask follow-up questions and get all the details. From your perspective, looking at hundreds, thousands of applications coming in from multiple channels, any other advice or thoughts you have, in today's environment or any environment, how do you get a package through that has the least amount of added conditions, the least amount of turn downs, all these kind of things that we know make a better experience?
You said it correctly. Take a great application, speak to your borrower, be clear with your borrower as to the expectations, collect the documents and or data up front. Look at them. A lot of people do great job at getting the pieces of paper or the pieces of data we need to assess your borrower, but they may not read them. Checking for a large deposit on your asset statement that you did collect is a great thing to do, because the things that you don't ask about are the things that will stall your file. Be transparent with your borrower, both good and bad. Be transparent with your underwriter and your processor, both good and bad. If everyone knows where the potential obstacles may be, it's going to make it that much easier to overcome them. Use your digital opportunities. That's going to make things easier today. And again, like I said, read your documents, or maybe have AI read your documents, but make sure you're aware of where your obstacles may show up. Large deposits, loans that are taking out of their 401k. So looking at a pay stub, looking at your asset statements are just as important as getting those pieces of paper from your borrower.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the digital verification piece. I know that's something that you and I have talked about, and lots of folks have exchanged emails. What are you what are you seeing there as far as consumer adoption? Are you hearing things that are getting customers to trust that process more? Because I know it makes us better and more efficient when we can get that. Like, is there any advice that you have for how we can get even more customers comfortable with that and using it?
So there's obviously digital verifications that we can get with and without borrower engagement, but the borrowers, every day, more borrowers are more comfortable with what we call credentialed verifications, things in which the borrower does have to sign in so that we can have access to their pay stub and W-2 from their employer, or we have access to their asset statements. It's the same thing many people do when they file their tax returns. And while we started doing credentialed items probably 7 years ago, I see that it picks up every month. It's more and more, and they're more willing to do that. And no one should make an assumption due to age or socioeconomic status or where they work as to their adoption of those types of digital resources, because everybody generally is okay with it if it's explained. If it's not, there's always different paths to take. But I would say that we improve our digital adoption, by about 10% year over year.
Wow. Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense. I mean, everybody's used to Amazon and all these kind of digital experiences now, where it's click, click, click to get things done versus going to have to find my W-2 and image it and all these things, and it makes it so much easier. It's amazing to me that it's not even more adopted than it is, which is why I kind of wonder thoughts on how we can do even more. But
Well, you mentioned companies that kind of show the path to the consumer. And so we also have a portal, and that allows the borrower to help themselves. And a lot of them do that for us. The portal allows them to see where their loan is in process, what milestones they've achieved. It allows them to see what tasks remain, as far as, do I still need a homeowner's policy statement? Do I still need another pay stub? And they can upload that directly to us and take care of those tasks immediately without waiting for a phone call. And a lot of borrowers do like that quiet self-help without engaging sometimes. Other borrowers, like I said, know your personality. Other people would love for you to call and talk to them. And so both paths are great. But the portal is that same thing as other companies that show you kind of where your loan sits in its process.
that's right. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the portal. I mean, I think that the way things are going, back to our conversation about people versus tech, it's really people and tech, and that some people are going to be more comfortable with the going to the portal to self-serve, and some may be more comfortable going to a person to talk to them. But I think by and large, most people want both when they want it. So we have to continue delivering technology that lets people do what they want to do when they want to do it, but at the same time be ready to pick up the phone whenever they're ready. to help and explain and counsel.
Totally. We've seen data in which, the older age group is more likely to use digital and portals than the younger cohort. And that is probably because they've had a loan before. They understand the process a little better. Whereas there are some younger people that you think would be more likely to be tech savvy and willing, but they have more questions because they might be a first time home buyer. So
Yeah.
never judge the book by its cover, provide options, and they will find their own path.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've seen similar kind of research on that, so that's a great point. So you recently traveled here to the South, where I sit, to Greenville for our Women's Empowerment Summit for Newrez. Um, Tell us a little bit about kind of how that went, what you learned from it. I guess, what is the perspective today? I mean, I'm involved. Newrez does a lot of things with our ERGs and to help team members kind of fully express themselves. So it's close to my heart, and always love hearing what other folks are doing in their groups.
It was a great opportunity for new res employees to get together and understand the successes others have had, how they got there. We had some great keynote speakers that really energized us and, taught us some new tricks. What I would say, it gave the women that were there some perspective. I always say things aren't going to land in your lap. You have to speak up. You need to ask. If you want to continue to grow your career as a woman or anyone and move into leadership, you have to speak up. Ask to be included. Ask for what you think you are worth. No one is going to hand you that next job. Determine the skills you excel in and what you enjoy, and then look for opportunities that cater to that and find a great mentor that might help you.
Yeah.
Totally
I,
answered the question that you didn't ask, sorry.
no, I think that's the thing I take from it the most is that I think the path to be successful, whether it's in this business or life or whatever, it's probably the same for all of us. I mean, everything you said there, I think is important for me or anybody. But summits like what you attended, I feel like, people are maybe more allow themselves to be more vulnerable because they're in that environment to talk to each other in a language that maybe they understand better. When you're with like-minded people, whether that's in our military and veterans group or it's in the Women's Empowerment Summit, whatever. But the ultimate truths to life of advocating for yourself, of working hard, of doing what you say you'll do, all those kind of things, those hold true no matter who you are. And so it's awesome to see it coming through like that.
It was great. It was a great environment, like you said. This is very much a stereotype, but men generally will ask for what they want way more frequently than a female would. And it was empowering for those people to hear it, recognize it so they could see it in themselves when appropriate and, learn to maybe overcome some of those things. So, like you said, like minded experiences and can they use others' experiences and apply it to their own life?
Right. Right. All right. So you have been, how long have you been with, well, we'll call it New Res, but we know it's been through multiple brands over the years.
I've been here 12 years.
Oh.
12, and I have, grown within this company with this company. I started as a VP of underwriting for one channel, so I was just handling the underwriting in one area. And now I handle the fulfillment through all of our channels except for correspondent, and the underwriting for all of our channels, including correspondent. And so, Newrez has been a great place for me to continue to expand my career.
Yeah. And you've seen, obviously, you see it through being in the channel and the different areas. You've seen a lot. You've seen, and you've talked to our partners about um, all of their different businesses and the different competitors that they work with. So beyond kind of all the surface talk and I guess adjectives that people use to describe themselves and hype themselves up, at the core of it, what do you see as the difference maker for Newrez? Like, what do we actually do differently? What do we deliver better than anybody else?
We started at the top with people. We care fiercely. It is a tagline, certainly, But, we have to make sure that we are the one that will take the time to ask the questions, get the hard loan completed, and develop those relationships. We are certainly, I feel, winning because of our people.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. So, JC, we've both been in this business a little bit for a little while, but there's a lot of people, a whole new generation of people coming out of school or looking for a career change, and Newrez is growing. We've got a lot of opportunities. So, what are the kind of things that you would advise to people, whether it's how to look for the right role on at Newrez or on your team, the right personality profiles for this crazy business we're in? What should people be thinking about?
The mortgage industry is a great place to build a career. We have a lot of entry level positions. We are hiring. We bring people in, and I would encourage you to excel in whatever role you're provided. I started as a shipper. I shuffled paper. I did it really well. And so then they asked me to do the next job. And so, one, excel at whatever task you're being provided. Two, ask questions. There is opportunity, and people have moved up many positions in a 12 or 24-month to find where they are the best in the mortgage industry. But we have a lot of entry level positions, and a lot of them, almost all of them, have a career path.
That's right. I couldn't agree more. I think, like you say, you get in where you can in this business, and you ask a lot of questions, and you do great work at whatever seat you're in, and opportunity just always presents itself, because ultimately, this is a huge part of the American economy. And as such, there's pretty much a role for whatever your interests are, whether it's sales or process or tech or compliance or technology, marketing. I mean, whatever kind of role there is in any kind of job, I feel like it's somewhere in the mortgage space. So, get in where you can, like you say, and do an awesome job. And it feels like things open up. At least they always have for me. And I feel like other folks I talk to, like yourself.
Ask questions, articulate where you feel you excel. People come into operations and they do move to sales. Certainly, there are some people that come in sales and realize that that's not their best fit, and they move into another back of house or operations type role. There's just a lot of different things that can be done, and you just work hard at what task you've been giving and look around, and you can even ask to shadow other roles.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right. So, last question here. We've talked about leadership. We've talked about kind of our career path. When you look back over your career, does any leader stand out to you? Or if it's multiple leaders, but how has leadership or a leader made the biggest impact on you and your career?
I've had many managers, as we all have in my career, and I feel I pick up something from every manager that I've had, even from those that I maybe didn't relate as well to. Um, you learn maybe things that you don't like or how to change something. I've learned to work hard. I've learned to take time to learn my subject matter, to be fair, communicate your opportunities and successes regularly. And that's one I still work on today is I feel that I engage very well with my team down. I manage down very well, but I need to always remember to promote myself and my team on our successes as well. One of my managers in the past was very big in, well, you didn't tell me that you just reduced cycle time by 10 days. So again, how do you market yourself and your team is a great lesson that I've learned, and get to know your employees and what drives them. I'm only going to be as successful as my team and in the individuals on my team. And for them to be successful, I need to understand them and what drives them. And so getting to know my employees is one of the biggest lessons I've learned.
Yeah, I love that. And it stands out to me, talking about even try to learn something from maybe leaders that you didn't enjoy as much. I think that's really important. I tell my kids the same thing over the years when they had coaches they didn't like or something. There's always something to learn, and you want to focus on the best in people because, yeah, as I say, nobody thinks they're a bad guy or gal. Everybody's got a reason for coming at it the way that they do, and again, we're probably not going to change them. So our best bet is to try to figure out how we work with them and make the most of the opportunity.
People have proven that they stay at a job due to their management team, not due to money. They will make a change in employment over management before they'll make a change over money. And that's something as a manager I take to heart and I try to remember day in and day out because I have a great team and I would like to retain them.
Yeah. I think the other thing, I'm glad you brought that point up as well. We've all heard that, I think, over the years that people leave over their managers or management as much as they do as money. And I think the other thing is the vision of people understanding, what are we doing here? Why is this important? Because, I think as people and as the world, people become more remote where they're working and whatnot, it's important for us as leaders to create connection to the mission of what we're trying to do and why it matters and why it's not just emails and typing all day, that there's actually humans on the other end and we're impacting lives and we're building towards something great. And I think that you do a great job of that with your team.
Say that even though I make fun of you all the time.
I know. See, like this is me. I find the best in you. So, all right. So we're at the end of our time, which has been awesome. JC, Jennifer Corcoran, thank you for your time today. And until next time, we will see everyone at Newrez Voices. Bye.
Thank you, Dave.